We're clicking away. Moshe Abraham's my dear friend from Israel, Eretz Israel. He is our Hebrew teacher. Our moreh, a morah is a male, a masculine, or morah and moreh are masculine, feminine of teacher.
Mm,
So,
yeah,
so he's our teacher.
that's the thing.
Don't call him a moron. That would help.
I should clarify as well. Not a rabbi. I'm not a
Right.
rabbi. I'm a Hebrew teacher,
Right.
um, and that's just because it's so much associated. Because I'm a religious Jew teaching biblical Hebrew.
Automatically to everybody else, you're a rabbi.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But what the rabbi level of knowledge is way beyond.
Way up there.
I might just mention just in passing how I got into this, which was I think about 8 years ago. I was in a small Jewish community in the countryside back in Britain, and the guy who organizes everything that happens said, "I need more events. I need more clubs and classes. To need more of a
Right.
busy Jewish life." He said, "What can you do?" I said, "I can't do anything." He said, "Figure something out." And I said, "Well, I'm spending every Monday night on my Hebrew. I could have a club." And he said, "No, no, you'll have to teach it." And I said, "Oh, I couldn't teach it." He goes, "Oh, we'll figure it out then." The Lubavitcher Rebbe says, "If you know Aleph, teach Aleph." And
Right.
8 years ago, I taught Aleph.
Right.
And I kept on going round and round and round until, the rest is just you spend this much time on Torah and it starts to open up. So I highly recommend people going for it. It's absolutely learnable
Yeah,
as an
I
adult.
would say that that is the most important element to learning is
Mm.
to teach.
Yeah, yeah,
Whatever you know, teach.
yeah,
It's been a big part of my own journey is
yeah.
you learn and you teach and you learn more. So,
Absolutely, and believing that you can learn because I
right.
have students in their 80s. I have a 14-year-old student, and anyone can become intimidated by this language. Anyone can think that they can't, but
Right.
actually, a little bit of support and sticking at it, you absolutely can learn this language.
Absolutely.
So
We are at verse 1 of chapter 5.
absolutely, and we get
Yes.
this phrase which we've seen a couple of times. The idea of toldot is interesting. It's generations, but now we're about to get the generations of Adam.
Mm-hmm.
So Zer Sefer Toldot Adam. This is the book of the generations of Adam. But we also get this quite an interesting phrase just right underneath, which we've seen a similar version, but I just want to pick it out. It says Bayom Baro Elohim Adam. And so the verb here, baro, comes from bara, which is to create. And so who's creating? Well, Elohim comes right after the verb, so God is creating, and he's creating Adam. But it's this bayom, in the day that God created Adam. And of course, you don't have all these generations in one day, but a day can mean a time or a period of time. So in the kind of era that Adam was created, these are the generations, right? And it also means that although bet means in or with, if it's in or with an event, it can mean when this event happened, this other stuff was going on. So just a little side note there. But we also get very interesting. It's referencing back to when God was talking about creating Adam. It says bidmut Elohim, which is in the likeness of God. Asa oto, he made him. And I want to just raise this idea again of what did God mean when he said to make Adam in our image, in our likeness. And the other thing that was really important is when he said that, he didn't say, I will make Adam in our likeness. He said, we will make Adam in our likeness. And so I argued, so we always ask the question, well, who's he talking about? Who's we? And some people want to argue that this is, God in plural, which of course God's very clear that he's not plural.
Mm-hmm.
It says it again and again and again in the Bible. Other people want to argue that it's God talking to the angels, but the angels are not in the image of God, not like us, not like humans. So the only other option, if you say, well, who's in the image of God? The only other option is people.
Right.
So when he says we, he must mean I'm involving Adam in the process of making Adam in his image. So God
Right.
made Adam first, and then Adam participated and did something that made Adam in the image of God.
Okay. That's good. That's a good
So
explanation.
so first there's Adam, not quite in the image of God. Then Adam is invited to participate in his creation and becomes in the image of God. So what happened? Well, in Gan Eden, in the Garden of Eden, Adam and his wife were given a choice about whether or not to eat from the fruit.
Hmm.
And from the fruit of the the fruit of the tree of the knowledge, not the trollage,
That
of
was
good and
good.
evil, they ate, and then they got the knowledge of good and evil. They got
Right.
the ability to distinguish between good and evil. And at that point, if you remember, God says, now they have become like us. Now it's an us.
Right.
It's God and man.
Right.
So he says they've become like us, knowing good and evil. So if we've become more like God by knowing the difference between good and evil, that's the moment where Adam really becomes an image of God, is
Right.
having a conscience,
Right.
having a discernment between what's right and what's wrong,
Right.
being able to have free will. All of that is afforded to humans and not to angels, foxes, rocks, rivers,
So
pigeons.
one of the things that have been pretty much determined is that we can't have free will without um, the knowledge, because we don't have free will. If we have the knowledge, the wisdom, then we have free will. That's the
Do
whole
you
point.
do you want what's in this hand or what's in this hand? Well, if you hang on, if you choose this one,
Right.
you might not know, but you might choose this and it turns out it's murder, right?
Right.
But what was
Right.
in this hand was winning the lottery. Well, if you pick one, are you guilty of being a murderer? You didn't know what was in the hand.
Right. Right. Right.
It's not really free will unless you know
No.
and understand the choice.
Which is the whole dichotomy of the thing, is that we talk about free will, free choice. I kind of like free choice as a term, but the idea is that without that, this is just a banal exercise.
Yeah,
This is not anything. That part of the way the creator made us was to have this capability, and is
absolutely.
frustrating and irritating and annoying as our free will is. It's an important thing.
Because sometimes we make the wrong decision. We make
Right.
decisions which break stuff or hurt people. But that has to be in the mix in order for. By the
Right.
way, just to add to your point, knowing understanding the choice is part of free will.
Right.
But there's another part of free will which is often overlooked because it's a little bit paradoxical. But we can't remember the future. And you think, well, of course, it hasn't happened yet. But time is just a dimension.
It
Why
is
is
just
it
a
that we
mention.
can remember that direction but not that direction?
Right.
Right? Because if you could remember the future, you wouldn't really have free choice because
Thank
you'd already know
you.
what you would
Thank
choose.
you. It's
So you
not that
have
we
to know
cannot
the
know.
choices and
Right.
not know.
It's not that we can't
It's
know the
part of
future.
our nature.
Right. It's not that we can't
Yeah.
know the future. It's just we don't know because we have free will. If we knew the
Yeah.
future, we wouldn't have
Yeah.
free
It
will.
would ruin our ability. Exactly. Exactly. So
Yes.
God has revealed the past and hidden the future,
Right.
which means, well, how does God know what's going to happen? Well, God doesn't have that limit put on him.
Right.
God doesn't have the ability to see the future veiled. So God can remember the future just as easily as he can remember the past, right?
That's
So
true.
it's all happening at once for God, but for us, we've been given a limit to give us freedom.
Right.
Little
And
paradoxical, but
it
very
is
important.
very good. So let's look at verse 2 now. Male, female, they created.
Yes. Again, this is mirroring the story of Adam. So when it says Zeh Sefer Toldot Adam, this is the book of the generations of Adam. It's setting us up with the stuff we already know. It's reminding us of the conditions. One
Right.
condition, God created Adam in the image of God, and then another condition, exactly as you say, Zakar and Eva Bara'am, male and female, created them. So now it's again referring to them as plural at the point that they're created. Vayvarech otam, and he blessed them, right? Vayikra et shamam, and he called their name Adam. Now this is actually really important because this is the distinction between the rib people and the side people. When we're talking about women, are they made out of a spare part from a man, or are
Right.
they? Does it not say rib and actually says side? And that's what. Well, this says he created them. He
Them.
blessed them, he
Them.
named them Adam. So Adam is not the guy's name. It
No.
means
Them.
humanity. It means mankind. He never
Right.
gets a name, poor guy. So it says B'yom Hibaram. And again, the root of this is bara, to create. So in the day they were created. Hibaram means the event of their creation. In their creation, all of this was the case. Again, time is no obstacle to God. So the plan is always there from the beginning, even if the events happen chronologically for our benefit. This was always the situation. God didn't come up with women as an afterthought. God took a prototypical person and divided them into this component which is good for some jobs, this component which is good for other jobs, with of course an overlap, because there's plenty of stuff that both men and women can do, but they have specialisms and advantages in certain areas, right?
Right.
So this is so we're not alone. God declared that it wasn't good for Adam to be alone, so he made for him an Ezer Knegdo, a
Right.
helper against him. Not a helper for him, as often translated, criminally, leaving out a word of the Torah,
Right.
but a helper against him. Someone who can push and pull, an equal that can. And why is it so criminal to refuse to translate that word in order to maintain a certain political ideology? Because the Torah itself says, you shall not add and you shall not take away from this book. And this is one of the reasons it's really important to learn the Hebrew. So nobody can gatekeep what you know out of God's book. You have the right to know what the book says in its entirety. And no one has the right to edit that so that you can't get the full message. Come and learn Hebrew.
Right.
As the great, epic, wonderful Rabbi Tovia Singer says, to read the Bible through a translation is like kissing God through a towel.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's. I forgot you did say that.
I heard him say that
Yes.
twice, and I never stopped thinking about it.
It's very good.
You want to get as close to the Kaddish Baruch Hu, the Holy One,
absolutely.
as possibly can. So, in verse 3, in verse Gimel, Gimel's the third letter of the alphabet, so we use it here to signify verse 3. Vaychi Adam. And this Vayehi would be, and it was Adam, but this is Chi is to live. Chai, life, l'chaim. So Vayechi Adam, Adam lived, Shloshim, Shlosh is 3, Shloshim is 30. Umeat, and 100 Shana, years. So 130 years. Vayoled, Bidmuto, and he bore a child in his image. It's the same word as we had a minute ago, that God made Bidmut Elohim, in the image of God. Now somehow Adam can have a child in his image, which means that the ability to bear children in one's image is something that started with God and was given to us, which means every generation afterwards is in the same image of God. My mum loves saying, God has no grandchildren.
God has no what?
God has no grandchildren.
Oh, yes. Yeah, correct.
She, my mother, is a child of God in the image of God. But I, her son, I'm not the son of someone in her image. I'm also in the image of God.
Right.
And please God, my children will also be in the image of God. So this you don't inherit this. You're the first generation. Every generation is the first generation in the eyes of God, right? So bidmuto, in his image, katselmo, in the likeness of him, vayikra et shemo shet. So this genealogy is starting not with Hevel, of blessed memory, who died, and not with Cain, of blessed memory, who murdered, but with Shet. It's starting again. So we're going to follow this genealogy of Shet, not with Hevel, the murdered, or Cain, the murderer. Strange. The Yiyu, and these were. I'm just going to tell you why it means these were. Hai means to be. From the verb to be, we get was, haya, is, hover, and yeh, will be. So this is yehi, means will be. It will be, right? But the vav flips it into the past tense. It was. And this u at the end pluralizes whoever did it. So yehi means it was, or he was, and yiyu means they were, or these were, right? So these were yamei. This is from yom, which means day, and anything you end in a yod and a tseirei means of, right? So a yod and a tseirei at the end only if you have both this yod and this seirei. And I'll always turn that pink to make it stand out for us. But if you have this combination, it means of. So days of, these were the days of Adam. Acharei, again yod and seirei, after of holido et shet, the birth of Shet. So how many days is he? Before Shet, he lived 130 years. And then after Shet, he lived Shmone Me'ot, 800 Shana years. And it says, V'yoled benim uvonot, and he bore sons and daughters. So outside of the sons and daughters we know about, he's having more sons and more daughters. We don't know how many. We're just focusing on this new firstborn. And so, of course, adds up 130, 800, and adds up to 930. V'yiyu kol yamei Adam. So a minute ago it said these were the days of Adam after this happened, but this is kol yamei, all the days of Adam. Asher chai, that lived, tesha, 9, meot, 100, shana, 900 years, ushloshim shana, and 30 years. Vayamot. This is the sad word. So, chess comes from Persia, and the king of Persia is the Shah. You know, we say Shah, but in Persian they say Shah.
Shah.
Close the throat a little bit. Right. So at the end of the game of chess, the king, the Shah, dies, and we say Shachmate. The king is dead.
Very good, interesting note. I didn't know that.
It's very close to Hebrew.
Shachmate.
I used to have a Persian student, and he would go, "Oh, that's the same as Iranian. That's the same as Persian. That's the same as Persian."
Oh, that's interesting.
Farsi. So vayamot means mot is to die. Yamot means he will die. Vayamot means he died. So, although we're sad for his passing, he did get to 930, which is better than I'm going to do with my cholesterol. Wow. So, not that I'm wishing it. I want as much time as I can.
I'm not sure that I want to do 930 though. I'm already tired at 61.
to see how much work there is to do to elevate the world. I want a bit of time, but I don't want so much time that it's all on me. You know, like how much...
like heck, you think I'm God or something? You know, got to go sometime.
He limited. It's interesting as well because we're not opposed to the idea that people come back. If someone has work to do that they haven't completed when they finish, they can come back. We call that gilgul, and that it doesn't matter. We don't know what happens. Right? It's none of our business what happens.
It's immaterial, right?
Some people come back, some people don't come back. But if someone needs to come back 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 1,000 times, why not just give them a longer lifespan? It seems to be important that people are limited to 120 years. God puts this in. And what's the difference?
It seems to be the default challenge because he knew that longevity produced other issues that made it impossible for the person to really cocoon or to do whatever they had to do. Right. Like the longer they're here, they end up reversing or reverting themselves. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Because this is kind of the discussion of why Adam and Chava had to leave the Gan Eden. Because it's now they know, now they've become like us, knowing good from evil. They can't. That tree of knowledge of good and evil, that was one of the options. The other one was they had a tree of Chai, and he says if they can eat from the tree of Chai, they'll live forever, and they'll live forever. And we can't have them living forever and knowing. They can either not know good from evil and live forever, in which case their innocence, immortal innocence.
Because this is exactly. But that's exactly what the flood presented.
Sorry. Yes.
Because there were not only them, but there were Nephilim that lived and were, whatever they are, super beings. And, it's like the older they got, the more wise they got, the more arrogant they become, the more, you understand. It's like.
And they got twisted, they got corrupted. There was a problem with it. The Rambam, I love the Rambam. I'm crazy about Maimonides. Whatever you want to call him, Rambam, Maimonides, Moshe ben Maimon. One of his real clever points is he says, why should a person act right? Out of respect for his intelligence. Because we actually know what the right thing is.
Correct.
And if you want to do something else, you have to kind of. I never met a person who said, "Oh, I'm just evil." You see people do terrible things,
Right,
but
right,
inside
right, right,
their own head, they've come up with some justification for why it's
right,
okay to do this. Oh, I'm embezzling from the company because it's insured, or I'm dipping
right,
into the till because no one will notice, or all kinds of crazy
right.
ideas. And so you twist your logic in order to do that, and then you've twisted your mind, and then you're
Correct.
corrupt, and then it gets worse and worse and worse.
So it's
Maybe that's
almost
the thing at the
like
time.
death becomes a reset.
Right.
My grandson is a big video game player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's 10, and he goes, "Hey, Papa," he said, "When did you respond?"
Oh, interesting.
And I
Yeah,
went,
yeah, yeah.
"Respond to what? I have no paradigm, right?" He
Yeah,
goes,
yeah, yeah.
"Oh, respond. You mean like
Yeah.
born? What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, in a video game, when you die, you respawn. You come
Yeah.
back again, and you get to try a challenge again." And I said, "Oh, I probably respond many times, but I respond in 1963." And he goes, "Oh,
Right. Right. That's great.
like he
And
gets that concept that you can come back and get another reset. You get to try again,
yeah.
perfect yourself."
Yeah. I was speaking to a wonderful lady who she has some barriers. She's a Noahide and she's not in a position to do a conversion.
Right,
And, it's not the right thing for her in this life,
right,
because otherwise it would be opened up to her, right? But her muzzle in this life is to become a Noahide, and that's
right,
perfect for her.
right,
And I said, and she was kind of saying, "Well, I'm happy with my choice. I'm happy with my situation. I'm not really in a position to do the other thing, but part of me
right,
wants to take on the covenant and become full Jew." I said, "Have a word with Hashem.
right,
Ask him if you're coming back. Can you come back as a Jew?"
right.
And she was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Yeah, it might be that you need to do this in this life, and the next life you need to do something else."
Right,
In
but
order,
we don't even know that we weren't in a previous life.
she could have already done the Jew thing,
Right. And now
and
she wants to come back and say, "I want to come back as someone so far away that
in order to show my
I
love for
would have
God by
to
coming close.
struggle." Oh,
Yeah,
I'm thoroughly convinced that was my journey.
yeah,
Thoroughly convinced.
yeah.
Because
Because
it's
there's
the
something. If
struggle.
if you did 10 generations of 10 respawns of being a Jew, maybe there was something you could learn from being a Noahide in this
Right.
iteration.
Oh my goodness.
And maybe
That is a very profound thing that I hope that people are paying attention to, because that is where we're at in the world. Is we're not saying that people need to become Jewish or to become a Jew to
no,
have a close, vibrant relationship with Hashem. What we're saying is reach out to Hashem yourself now.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
begin to struggle for closeness with Hashem and the knowledge of Hashem, and let that be your journey. If it leads you to to converting later on, fine. But the point is
do what's
strive.
what's right thing for you in your life.
Yes,
Do the
in your
right
life.
thing, your path.
Right.
It's like, a fireman should be proud of being a fireman,
Correct.
but he doesn't need everyone he meets to be a fireman. And if he's proud of being
No.
a fireman, that doesn't mean he thinks a policeman should be ashamed of himself.
You know what
Because
the
I'm a
police
fireman, you're a policeman. I've got one job, you've got another job, and we've got
right.
different rules. And actually, we need all of it. We need all the people, all the genders, all the races, both the genders, all
Right.
the races, all of the nationalities, all of the languages. We need
You went
everything.
there with the gender thing, huh?
I didn't mean to.
All the
I'm not.
genders.
I'm not touching that subject.
Okay. So
That's
I'm a
just
half raccoon male. So what does that
right.
make me?
Right.
No, but you're right. And to I just lost my train of thought. Right before you said gender, what were you saying?
That we need all the people that we have in all the
Yes.
different varieties that they come in.
Everybody needs to do their own job.
Yeah. And
Everybody
if you
needs.
and if you don't if you don't meet your purpose in life, then we're missing that.
Right.
And you don't need to do the same as a different person. That they're there for that. You're here to be you.
Right. I have used this term, Rabbi Moshe, I see, Moshe Dror Kusoda.
Oh yeah. Right,
He,
right, right, right.
he coined a term I've always liked, and I've snatched it. Quit trying to be Jewish. He's saying this to Noahides. be you-ish.
Oh, nice. I
Isn't that
love it.
nice?
I
Quit
love
trying
it.
to be Jewish, be you-ish. Be you. Be happy. Be content. Follow Hashem. Do the right thing. Life's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I had a lecture at university. I studied composition of music, classical composition, and I love different instruments. I play different instruments, and I'm kind of rubbish at all of them. But I can kind of I know just enough
Right,
about viola, about how to write for a viola. But if I was going to write something, I'd get someone else to play it, you know.
right, right.
And I had this lecturer who was a performance lecturer, and he only played second chair violin in the orchestra. At the time he wrote his PhD, he was the only one ever to write a PhD about being second chair violin. Loads of people write PhDs about first chair
Of
violin, but
course, of course.
he was so specific. And I went to him and I said, Joe, you know exactly, you're so specialized. Everyone keeps on telling me to pick a main instrument instead of dabbling around and
Right.
being a jack of all trades. How do I choose which instrument to put all of my energy? And he looked at me and he said, why would you try and make yourself think like other people think?
Oh, yeah, that's good.
And I was like, I was not expecting that for him, because most people try and convince you to think like them. Most
Right.
people try and convince you to be like them.
Absolutely.
They think it's the best thing. Well, it's the best thing for you.
Right.
But he was saying, no, 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 no. If you don't do what you're doing, then we're lacking what you're doing. And it's the same thing. It's the same. We
Wow.
need Noahides. We need everybody, every version of a person.
Absolutely. And that's why we're glad that you, the viewer or the listener, if you listen to it on podcast, are here and participating. Just want to let you know that we would like you to subscribe to the podcast and hit the notification button right there. Also, Moshe teaches at gmail.com. Moshe teaches at gmail.com. See it, text him, email him. If anything, give him a hard question. Find something very difficult, mind-boggling. He loves
Give us
this.
questions. We want questions.
Yeah, we most definitely do. So until next week for our next episode, we're out of here. Shalom, shalom, guys, and we'll see you next week.
It's right.